Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 2 Minute Warning, the high-paced American football podcast in which the time is in short supply, but the opinions are not. And oh boy, do we have some opinions for you this week. My name is Jez. I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Matt. How is your day going so far? And try not to swear. I don't want to do any editing later.
I'm not going to swear. Yeah, it's all right, daily grind. But hey, ray of sunshine at the end of it. We got today's show. How are you?
Yeah, things like the football are really kind of keeping me sane at the moment.
Yeah.
So hopefully things don't take a turn for the worse as more coronavirus stuff happens going into the winter.
Yeah.
Good evening to Research, who's joined us on Twitch. And I think really we've got nothing else to do but get straight into the topics for the day.
Yeah.
So would you like to kick us off?
Absolutely. So the biggest news of the week is the cancellations of the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Tennessee Titans and the postponement of the Patriots at the Chiefs. And that's going to be moved to tonight. I think it's a 7:05 kickoff stateside, so just a little bit after midnight UK time. And all this is because of a raft of positive COVID-19 cases amongst members of the Titans team, and another high-profile positive case from the Patriots quarterback Cam Newton. The coronavirus has reached the NFL. It's taken a little bit of time, but it's here now. It's bedding down a little bit. What do we think of it all?
I think people got complacent, as they have worldwide in general, where it comes to the coronavirus. I think certain teams were getting complacent. Teams like the Raiders weren't wearing their face masks on the sidelines. And apparently neither would the Titans. And this is what the result of that is. Like, large swathes of the team have gone down with the virus. It's slightly different to the Cam Newton situation. We discussed this a little bit before we got started here, because it's weird that Cam is the only person on the team to be affected, which screams to me that Cam Newton caught it away from the NFL. He caught it somewhere else, and they luckily caught it before he could come into the organization and spread it even further. The fact that they've had a positive case and they're able to just postpone the game by a day, I think, is a real credit to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of it as a Patriots fan?
Well, I mean, I think we all saw this coming down the track like a freight train, right? I mean, it's just something that's been growing and growing week in, week out, not just in the States but globally. I think we've been lucky as Patriots fans until now, and for only one Patriots player to actually contract it's incredibly lucky, all things considered. I really just hope we don't get many more postponements league-wise, especially as winter rolls in. And as we approach especially when it comes towards sort of the middle of the season, towards the season finales, we don't want that. Otherwise, we're going to get Super Bowl in June or something.
That's the problem. Our time is up, but the problem is that one changed game means you lose your bye week, and it happens then. 2 lost games, you start to come into trouble. 3, 4, that's gangbusters, right? Reese said, seems to be having more of an effect on the NFL than top level sport over here. I mean, there are a lot more people involved in an NFL game on an NFL team than there are on pretty much any sport UK wide. But I also think that there are some stupid decisions being made in terms of letting some small crowds in, that kind of thing. They're not really doing everything they can to stave this virus off. I don't think
No.
that's my opinion anyway. But luckily, the show did go on, and we got some fairly decent football this weekend from
We
some
did.
teams at least. And winning is fun, tweeted Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow after securing his first ever pro win last night against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 33-25. After showing some promise, the Jags seem to have returned to being the Jags again. What do we think of both of these teams involved in this match?
Well, yeah, winning is fun. I can vouch for that. Play well, and you can. We've both been
Indeed.
involved with the sport ourselves at British level. Yeah, it's a great feeling. Joe Burrow has proven that he can play football and he can win games. As for the lovely Jacksonville Jaguars, show's over. Who knows?
I'm going to say straight away that I actually don't think the Jags are as bad as some people are giving them shtick for at the moment.
Yeah,
Both of these teams, the Bengals and the Jags, are in rebuild years. And it's not
yeah,
like, even with that in mind, the fact that they are rebuilding and that they were going into a season knowing it wasn't going to be a, Super Bowl bound season, they're still better than, teams like the Jets or the Giants. Dare I even say better than teams like the Cowboys and the Falcons at this point.
Ooh.
But Burrow looks fantastic. He threw
Yeah,
some really pinpoint passes. He ended on 300 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. But I don't know if you saw that interception. That wasn't a Joe Burrow interception. That was a receiver not being able to hold on to the ball properly and it
yeah,
being plucked out of his hands. The receiver had made the catch and then had the ball yanked away. That's not on Joe Burrow as far as I'm
no,
concerned. So they need to work on this interception stat thing, because that
yeah,
definitely shouldn't be
yeah.
on Burrow's record.
Ball
Other than that,
safety
yeah, that
plus
should have been a
ball
fumble
safety 101.
for the receiver, the tight end. I don't even know what his name is. I didn't catch it in the highlights that I watched, but yeah, Burrow looks good. He definitely belongs in the NFL.
Yes,
He will only ever make the Bengals better.
yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to our next game then, and a quote of a different kind from a different quarterback.
Yeah, so I'm sick of losing. I'm sick of working as hard as I do and as we do. I'm going out there and losing. I mean, it sucks. Enough is enough. Sounds like me on a Friday. These were the words of the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr after their 30 points to 23 loss to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. Uh, was defeating the Saints a fluke? Did anybody actually expect them to beat the Bills? Right?
I mean, didn't you? Let me just scroll down to the predictions that we put in. I'm sure you called the where is it? Yeah, you called the Raiders. So
Ah, hey, I was
so you
beating.
did at least.
I was beating up on Buffalo. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, well, no one is beating up on Buffalo, and I
No.
threw out last week that Buffalo are the best team in the AFC,
Yeah,
and I still stand by that. That team continued to look like fire, but I'm kind of on the fence in terms of the question of, was defeating the Saints a fluke? Because yes, I think it was, in that the Saints were having a particularly bad week,
yeah,
and this mediocre Las Vegas team were able to get over the top of them. Carr looks good.
yeah,
Dylan's put in the chat hashtag start Mariota. I don't think Carr is the problem. Carr is having a wicked season. He's put up
yeah,
he put up 311 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in that game. That's
yeah.
more than adequate to put a win together. He hasn't thrown an interception this season at all.
No.
Yet to throw one. He does have a bit of a fumble problem. He's lost 4 fumbles. So maybe that needs addressing. But I don't think Carr is the problem. I think it's that they're in much of a same place as the Jags and the Bengals are. They're slightly ahead in that they've got the quarterback and they've got the running back, but they've still got a lot of other pieces that they're trying to figure out, and a head coach that's still trying to get used to playing in 2020 rather than 2002.
Yeah.
So I think it's an unfair expectation to ask the Raiders to come into Buffalo and beat them on any day. So I'm not ready to throw the Raiders under the bus yet, personally. No. And that's that 2 minutes. I'm going to let you lead on the next one because I'm going to have my face in my hands, I think. Rams quarterback Jalen Ramsey and Giants wide receiver Golden Tate came to blows following Los Angeles' 17-9 win over New York on Sunday. The two approached one another near midfield after the game and exchanged blows before being separated by teammates. Ramsey is the father of 2 of Tate's nieces, and the two have shared bad blood since Ramsey reportedly ended a long-term relationship with Tate's sister during her pregnancy last year. They're from the same place, if that wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? And I suppose we should probably talk about the game that happened as well. 2 minutes. Over to you.
This is just odd. This why, like you said, head in hands moment. This is just stupid. Yeah, Giants lost again. The whole bust up thing after the game had finished is complete BS. I mean, grow up, both of them.
Yeah.
Like,
is this the NFL or is it Coronation Street? Like, this stuff shouldn't be happening in a professional sports organization.
On not just national US TV, but people around the world can watch you being idiots. I mean, settle your differences with words. I mean, they've got to be role models for kids that are watching the game. I mean, it's same goes for any sport. You don't want to see players kicking crap into each other or hitting each other, whatever. I mean, yeah, come on now. Just be role models, right?
I mean, these nieces that they're talking about could have watched that. I don't know how old these nieces are now. I assume they're quite young, but regardless, they're going to be watching games going forward for the rest of their lives to see their dad, their uncle, whoever else involved in their family. And they've got to see their own family fighting on national television. How's that going to help any part of this situation?
Absolutely.
Like, save it for Springer, play some football.
Yeah.
Golden Tate definitely needs to play some football. He's really not doing that very much. Daniel Jones, though, to actual football, was held without a touchdown again, and there's still no running game from the Giants at all. Nothing is going to change in New York until they can fix that running game. There are free agent running backs out there that could step in and do something. They are not hiring them.
No.
Guys like Lamar Miller are considering joining the Bears. Why the Giants haven't looked at Lamar Miller, I don't know. Drama. Love it.
Absolutely.
The next topic is the kind of drama I'm all about, though. So let's crack into that because it makes me giggle from ear to ear.
So the Browns finally arrived on Sunday night, handing a humiliating loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Browns receiver Odell Beckham Jr. led the charge, scoring 3 touchdowns. So hell of a game for that guy, including a game-ending 50-yard touchdown run. Odell Beckham Jr., you can play football. What do you reckon?
I'm going to immediately say, let's not get too high on Odell Beckham Jr. because the Cowboys have got no defense whatsoever. It's as if they sent out children to defend against the Cleveland Browns. the Cowboys' offense is fine. That's actually clicking really well. The ball's being spread about to everyone except people on my fantasy team. They put up 38 points and lost. Any team
Yeah.
that puts up 38 points should not be in a position where they're losing. That is definitely on the defense, wherever that kind of thing happens. And anyone could score on that defense.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry scored on that defense. It wasn't even the starting quarterback. What's his face? Gone blank now. Lives in the stadium guy on adverts. You know who I mean.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. Jarvis Landry threw a 37-yard touchdown pass to Odell Beckham Jr. on the Cowboys defense. That's how bad they are. A receiver did that. So let's put the Browns and Odell Beckham against a competent defense. And if he can produce half of that production, then I'll believe in him. Until then, forget it.
Well, I still think OBJ is a good player. He can turn it on any given Sunday, I think, and I think it's still proven to be seen, but I'm sure we'll see it. But yeah, Cowboys still suck. This game, I don't know how I called it, but it's not a shock. I don't think, like you said, the Cowboys have no D, so
Yeah, you called the Browns, I called Cowboys, so
yeah.
more the fool me, eh?
I feel sorry for Dak, but he could just go to a different team.
Dak can escape. That's the shining light for Dak Prescott, is if it all continues to go down this path and they start to throw him under the bus, which I think is coming. Jerry Jones started to do that last week. So, yeah, Dak, take your services elsewhere. You are not the problem.
Yes.
Okay. We're at that point in the show. Let's talk about it then. The Bears lost for the first time this season, and everybody is looking under the cushions for that receipt to return Nick Foles. Is that fair? You can, as the not Bears fan, the more impartial observer, is Nick Foles the reason for that loss to the Colts on Sunday, or are there wider issues in Chicago? Let's go.
It's not that bad, really. It's one game out of 4. Yeah, okay, it was the Colts, but yeah, I don't think Nick Foles is to blame. I don't think even if you were playing Trubisky, he wouldn't be to blame. I think whoever's next, would they be to blame? Bears will be fine. And that doesn't even pain me to say it because you could be on the same record as my team by the end of tonight if my team win. But yeah, I think it's a wider problem. Yeah, I think Matt Nagy, or however you pronounce his surname,
No, that was right.
he could be an issue in the hot seat. But yeah, I mean, as the Bears fan, what do you think of it all?
So, as far as Nick Foles is concerned, I'm kind of torn in terms of, yes, I think he kind of is a problem, but not in the way that everyone else is saying.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think things would have been any different with Trubisky under center either. I think Trubisky is the better quarterback of the two, but the problems are elsewhere on the team. It's in the receiving core who drop passes left, right, and center. It's on an offensive line that keep committing penalties and are not really providing the full protection that needs to happen. And the running game isn't getting going. The Colts are a good defense. They shouldn't have been able to manhandle us quite the way they did, though.
No.
I don't think the Bears win another game for weeks now. Bucks, Packers are coming up very soon.
Yeah.
It may be Thanksgiving before we even sniff another win, I think. I think the wheels are off now. and benching Trubisky was like loosening the bolts on the wheels, if you will.
If Dak Prescott fancies a challenge, he could come to Chicago, right?
I'll take that. I'll take that. The thing that makes me angry amongst everything else is that when we traded for Nick Foles, Cam Newton was available. And I was
Yes.
screaming from the rooftops, sign Cam Newton, sign Cam Newton, sign Cam Newton. They didn't sign Cam Newton. They traded for fricking Big Dick Nick. Right, move on before I cry.
Well, as bad as you feel about the Bears, Jez, it could be worse. You could be a Houston Texans fan. The Texans are now 0-4 after falling 31-23, and this is quite a shocking one, to the Minnesota Vikings. How do we feel about it all? It's, Minnesota won.
The first thing I need to talk about is I was reading like post-game stuff today, and this is a quote from JJ Watt. The story of us is we've got to stop the run. That's what we have to do. We've got to stop the run, and we have to prevent passing situations. Thanks, JJ. That's defense. That's literally your job, but thanks for coming. Are the Texans as bad as they look? Maybe, but starting the season against the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Steelers in succession is going to be a tough ask for any team.
Yeah.
But then coming up against this Vikings team and having them beat you with very little resistance is pretty inexcusable if you're a Houston Texans fan. And I dug deeper. They traded away a lot last year because their offensive line was terrible. Yeah. So they traded away a lot to get Laramie Tunsil. At this point last year, or at the end of the last season rather, the pressure rate percentage on Deshaun Watson was 31.7%. So he was under pressure 31.7% of the time that he dropped back. Yeah. So far this season, in the 4 games that we've had, it's worse. The pressure rate is 37.5%. So almost half of the time, he's got someone in his face. And then he looks downfield, and they've traded away his best receiver. Most of his other receivers are limping around because they're hobbled and they're not much good. I'm going to call timeout here because I'm not done talking, and you haven't said a word yet. So, so half the time he's got no one to throw to. They haven't bothered going back to the running game that they also made a trade for in David Johnson and the other Johnson that they've got there, the Johnson on Johnson backfield.
Yeah.
They've got all the tools that they need to succeed, despite trading away D-Hop. But they've relied too much on people like JJ Watt and expecting him to be the JJ Watt of 2012. He hasn't been that guy for at least 6 years.
No.
It's time to move on from him and bolster that defense with somebody who's going to be around a bit more.
Yeah.
And when you really strip it all back and look at all of these choices that have been made, Bill O'Brien is both the head coach and the general manager. So if the team sucks after all of this effort that they've put in to try and rejuvenate it, no one's really to blame but him, right? And he's going to be the one that goes. You can talk now.
Right. It's fine. You had to rant, so we feel a bit better after that now, don't you?
Not really. It's not my team.
So the Vikings actually won. Have they done that at all this year? But it was
no, they haven't.
Against the Texans. So not really surprising. Like you said, the state I think Houston are in. There's no one to blame but Bill O'Brien. Buck stops with him, not just on the field, but as the GM of the team as well. It's up to the owners of of the Texans to get rid. If it's not like Bill as GM can fire himself. So
That's
yeah,
true. Normally, the general manager would have a part in hiring and firing head coaches. So
mhm,
yeah, no. Apparently, the ownership are blinkered on Bill O'Brien, and they love him. So
yeah. Well,
maybe the Texans just
that's not going to
spiral
get
for
them a ring,
years.
is it?
It's not going to get it done. No.
No.
But speaking of not getting it done, you did not get it done last week in our prediction game.
No.
We came into the week with you up 2-1, but I've rallied back. I have turned you into the Atlanta Falcons to me being the Bears, the Cowboys, and everybody else that's played the Falcons this year. And I've tied the score now at 2-2 with a 9-7 result from last week. And we both had some pretty big stinkers here actually in our predictions,
Yeah.
and some really kind of crazy left field ones as well. For some reason, we both predicted the Lions would beat the Saints. I'm not quite sure what either of us were thinking last week. That was weird. We
Yeah.
both predicted the Bears would win. I don't know why I predicted the Bears would win. That wasn't my feeling at all. But yeah, so 9-7 to me,
Yeah.
barely.
You had to catch up, didn't you?
Yes, we're
So,
probably going to keep this close all season, to be
yeah.
fair, because
Yeah.
that's how this kind of thing usually works. But
Yeah.
we've got a few games this week to predict,
Yes.
some of which might not happen. We'll see. And by virtue of a game being postponed a day, we've
Yeah.
actually pushed one of last week's games into tonight.
Yes.
So before I start the timer on our new set of predictions, I'm going to ask you if you still fancy the Patriots tonight over the Chiefs.
Well, funnily enough, I'm going to stick with it because Brian Hoyer is going to be the starting QB. So Hoyer the Destroyer. Yeah, why not? Sony
They're
Michelle's out as
starting
well.
Hoyer.
They're starting Hoyer instead of Stidham. Yeah, I don't
Why
get
is
it either.
Stidham there then? Why is Stidham there? If he's not going to be there in relief of Cam Newton, considering
Yeah,
he was the starter
yeah.
before they signed Cam Newton, doesn't make any sense. You're going to get your ass kicked. I'm sticking with the Chiefs. But as we move into this week's games, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
We need to focus today, not faff in between, not and ah. Let's just get
Okay.
it done and get this done with time to spare. Let's see if we can actually finish one
Me
within
too.
2 minutes. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Falcons at Packers tonight.
Packers.
I agree, Packers. Bucks at Bears Thursday night.
Bucks.
Bucks. Bills at Titans.
Bills.
Absolutely Bills. Jags at Texans.
Jags.
I think the Jags as well. Bengals at Ravens.
Ravens.
I agree. Panthers at Falcons.
Panthers.
I agree. Raiders at Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yep, Chiefs all the way. Cardinals at Jets.
I'm going Cardinals on this one.
I reluctantly am as well. They've been pissing me off the last few weeks with their stupid losses, but they have to beat the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Eagles at Steelers.
Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers. Eagles are still a bit kind of beat up. Rams at Washington football team.
I'm going Washington on this one.
Oh, I thought I was going to be the outside bet on that. I'm going Washington as well. Dolphins at 49ers.
Dolphins.
I agree. Unless everyone comes back all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Dolphins. Giants at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys have to win this one.
Yeah.
But that game's going to suck. Broncos at Patriots.
Patriots. I've got to go with Patriots.
I think Cam's still going to be out, so I'm going to go with the Broncos. Colts at Browns.
Browns.
I think the Colts win that. Yeah, I think the Browns get a bit too overconfident with their victory last week. Finally, Vikings at Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Absolutely, at the buzzer, Seahawks. Boom,
Yeah.
we did it.
We did. First time all season.
I know.
Quite proud
The
of that.
problem is we start going, well, if we know this happens, then maybe then that person might fall out of the sky, and then that means this team will win. Whereas we've just got to go, no, bish bash, bish bosh bush. Job's done.
Absolutely. Otherwise,
That's
it
how we
wouldn't be
get that
called
done.
2-minute warning.
No, it would be called 2.5 years and a packet of crisps or something like that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be the punchy, relevant 2-minute warning name that it's got. That's for sure.
No.
So quite a short one today, but with a lot of the things moved around and 2 games tonight that we are broadcasting too early to talk about. Hopefully we'll have a lot more to discuss next week. We're going to have to get into the quarterback situation in Miami at some point.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested to see as they go over to the 49ers and play what is a weak team because of injury. Whether they think, oh, maybe this is our chance to start Tua, I don't know. But there's a conversation brewing there for sure.
I agree. Should be interesting to watch unfold, to be honest.
We're rolling pretty steadily through the season. It's going pretty fast.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So we'll be at the halfway point and predicting playoffs and Super Bowl pretty soon, I think. We'll have to do a special extra little thing.
Yeah.
Once we get to week 8 and the main bye weeks being done and dusted, and see where kind of a mini state of the franchise or state of the divisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Good idea. Really good idea.
Speaking of good ideas, it would be a good idea if you, the wider audience, not just you, Matthew, tuned into some other shows on the Jez Show Network this week. Coming up a little bit later, in about an hour's time, Captain Soro starts his playthrough of Dying Light, which is a game I don't know very much about, but according to the brief conversation I had with him earlier, it's a bit like Left 4 Dead, but it takes itself a bit more seriously and it's a bit more horror-y. So cool, that could be awesome. But he's playing that every day this week at 10:30 p.m. He's never played it before, so it's a real fresh experience if you tune into him. Always Be Chatting started his Twitch endeavor last week. He popped his Twitch cherry on Friday night, and this week he is playing Detroit Become Human tomorrow night at 6:30-ish. That time's a little bit flexible. And on Friday night, he's playing Undertale, which is the game he played last week. And it's weird. It's definitely worth tuning in to because it's a weird game. And if you know Always Be Chatting, you know that he'll turn that into a source of humor wherever possible. And he does. I am playing Monsters Inc. Scare Island and Sonic Chaos this week, Tuesday and Thursday, 8:30. We've got Don't Get Me Started on Wednesday, as we always do. This Saturday, I am streaming for 12 hours, God help me, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. You might have to come in and chat some football with me at some point just to help me get through that.
Is there a reason?
Don't know what I'm going to do for 12 hours. It was an incentive on my Twitch. If you contributed a certain amount of channel points as a community, then it meant I had to do a 12-hour stream. It was September's goal. I met it by like the 3rd week of September. So it's time. It's happening. 12 hours. I'm having some people here on hand to bring me food and drink, so I don't even have to get up.
That's the way.
And then And then rounding off the week, Research and Duff Valley will be here on, well, not here, on my channel, twitch.tv/The Jez Show. About 20 laps to go of the Eiffel Grand Prix. And Research is in the chat saying you can do a quali recap at 2ish and tell us all about it. Yeah, the problem is I'm not going to be able to watch quali because I'm going to be streaming, but you can feed me the cliff notes and I will share them. Might be able to put it on somewhere, I don't know. But yeah, jam-packed week of streams across the Jez Show network. Kicked off as is usual by 2-minute warning.
Yep.
Which we're now done with. And
We are.
roll on to week 5 of the NFL and all the fun that will bring.
Hopefully,
unless it all gets cancelled.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay, if people want to find you across social media and discuss your takes, tell you what awful takes they are, where can they do that?
Okay, so Facebook, just under my name, Matt Ward. Twitter, Matt Ward 1985 UK. Instagram is the one I always get wrong, but it's Matt _ something like that. I'll share it on wherever. If people want to bully
Isn't it
me
the same as this Twitch channel? I thought it was 2MW_Matt.
That's the one. It's the same as my Twitch. And yeah, if you want to come along and follow me on Twitch, you know where I'm at. Just give me a follow. I haven't got many fans, but I don't really use it apart from for this because
no, we use it. We use it for this. That's it. But yeah, followers are still appreciated, so that you get the notification when we go live, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah,
thanks to everyone that has tuned in this evening. Thanks to everyone that's listening later on the Jez Show podcast network or via replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. I have been Jez. That's been Matt. Say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt.